Hey.
Different kind of sign today.
Yeah, it feels really different. Everything was different.
See Aaron's bottom of that third column.
Okay. All right, gotcha. Okay, first of all, very excited about our class this year. You know, a couple things that stood out to me is, you know, we held on to our commitments, and it was tougher this time than ever before to hold on to commitments because the pool was a lot smaller because all the people that early signed. So I thought our staff did a great job with that. For the second year in a row, we had no decommitments. I would bet there's very few teams around the country that can say that, and that's really big, and that's a tribute to the kids that we're recruiting, the relationships that we're building are long term, and I think that's definitely a tribute to our staff. By state, started with the state of Alabama. We signed 9 players, which has been a priority for me since I've been the head coach here. Georgia, we signed 8. Florida, we signed 6, and we signed 1 from Australia. And I did not make an in-home visit to that one. By position, big class for us, wide receivers, we signed 4 we feel very good about. Also a big class for running backs, and we signed 3, and all 3 of those guys are different type skill sets. Offensive line, we signed 2. Quarterback, we signed 1. We did not sign a traditional tight end. Defensive line, we signed 4. Defensive backs, we signed 4, which was very critical for us. We felt like linebackers, we signed 3. And then we signed a buck and then an athlete. And just to go with the guys that did sign today with us, just to go over that, first of all, our punter, Aaron Sipos, a guy that played Australian rules football. You know, he's not your average kicker. He's an athlete. He's got a great leg. I think this guy's really going to help us. I'm very excited about him. Matthew Hill. Matthew Hill is a guy that came to our junior camp, I believe, 3 years in a row. Guy that we've recruited for a long period of time. We really feel like he's one of the better football players in all the country. This guy can do it all. We're very excited about him. He's going to play wide receiver for us. He's the type of guy that you just want to get the ball in his hands. Richard Jabuner's a buck. When I think of him, I think of speed. I think of upside. For his high school team, he played offense, he played defense, he played wide receiver. He can do a lot of different things. I think this guy's got a chance to be a dynamic player. Really expect him to be a very good pass rusher. Harold Joyner, when I think of Harold, I think of versatile. I got a chance to coach a guy named Charles Clay a few years back, and I think they're from that same mold. Talking about a guy that we really feel strong about that can come out of the backfield and stretch the field vertically. You know, he can do a lot of different things with the ball in his hands, so we're excited about him. Roger McCreary, our corner, you know, we thought that we really needed to focus on speed. He's one of the fastest guys in our state. We think his upside is very good. He's a super young man, high character, makes very good grades too. Anthony Schwartz, wide receiver, he's the fastest guy in the country. He is also going to run track for our track team. Very excited about that. But he's a football player. I really believe this guy has a chance to really be special, just from the standpoint that, you know, he got better and better throughout his high school career, and he's got that drive to make him special. So we're very, very excited about him. Connis Miller is a guy that was a priority for us in this class, a guy that, you know, everybody in the country came out after him late, and he hung in there with us. This guy's a very good athlete. He plays wildcat quarterback. He can windmill dunk it, and he's 300 pounds, so we're very excited about this guy. Caleb Johnson, 6'3", 260, is a guy that really stood out to us. He came to our camp. He ran a 4.7. Plays a lot of different positions for his high school, and really feel like he's going to give us a lot of flexibility to move him around. He's a very good athlete for his high school. He also played some wide receiver and tight end, made some great catches. We're very excited about him. Then Colby Fuqua is an athlete. He's been committed to us a long time. Really feel like he can play both sides of the football. Got great ball skills and just do a lot of different things for us. So very excited about the class. You know, all these guys are fitting the mold of what we're looking for as far as character. You know, big picture, this whole class, you know, we really wanted to really focus on speed too, and we feel like we did that. Questions?
Was there any areas class you think is the strength in any area where you wish you could assign more?
Yeah, we'll start off with offensive line. I mean, we would have liked to sign, another offensive lineman or two, and we had some opportunities from guys that were interested late, but I just didn't want to take anybody. And obviously, having our coaching change 2.5 weeks ago obviously was a factor of that. But at the same time, we could pick up a fifth-year guy or something like that. But this next class will definitely be a focus of offensive line. As far as strengths, I think there's, the defensive line, the linebacker. Like I said, the secondary was a big factor as far as that goes. And then with our wide receivers signing 4 guys that we feel like all 4 of those guys can help us next year.
How does it work recruiting Australian punter? I mean, what goes into that process?
Yeah, they send film over, and I watched some Australian rules football game. To be honest with you, I watched him play 2 games, which I don't know all the rules to it, but you can tell whether a guy's a competitor. He's a great athlete. He can kick it with his right foot, his left foot, and he's going to give us a lot of flexibility with our punt team. And then he has some film when he was punting with the jugs machine, and he's got a super leg. So, and then you get a chance to meet him. Like I said, he came on an official visit, and when you matched up the Australian rules football with the video that we saw, I think he's got a chance to really help us.
Is he the toughest punter you've ever been around?
I think he's got a chance to be. It looks like it.
Yeah, maybe when he gets here, if he does get a job, tell him, hey, maybe don't try and knock someone's head off every play.
Tell you what, I would bet he's not going to be scared to tackle, because he's been tackling without pads on, so I bet he'll tackle somebody.
When you're recruiting a guy like him, where you obviously can't go out there to see him, you're just doing it based off film.
Yeah.
How much does it help the reputation that academy that he comes from? They produce the last 5 great guys.
Right. There's no doubt. That definitely helps, and then the standpoint, like I said, I watched him in professional games, and that was pretty impressive with his competitiveness. And then you get a chance to get around him. He's a real mature guy, a real driven guy, and so I'm excited.
Now that you guys have been through the first cycle with the early signing period and the second signing period, what's your take on it?
Yeah. Well, starting with the first cycle, that was definitely different. Something we had to get used to. We played an SEC championship game, and the 2 teams that played in that, they couldn't make in-home visits, that week like the rest of them could. And then, of course, 2 weeks later they have a signing. So that's something you just got to get used to as you go. I think it accelerates recruiting, as far as the early signing day. And then, of course, the second part of it was completely different. There wasn't as many players out there, and I think everybody in the country zeroed in on a lot of players, and that's really what made it different. But for us, we had our guys committed for a long period of time, and so it was more about us just making sure that we held on to our commitments with everybody coming after them, and our guys did that.
Do you haven't been through this once? Does it help you going forward?
There's no doubt. 100%. 100%. I think it was a learning experience for all head coaches. This is the way it's going to be, long term. I think it'll be different each year as far as just being more comfortable. And I expect it probably to be the same.
Do you feel like, not maybe than anybody else, but you feel like you're further ahead than you have been in the past on the 19 and 20 classes?
Oh, yeah, 100% on that, just from the standpoint that, we didn't have a whole lot of guys that we were recruiting the second part, and it gave myself a chance to get out in schools of 2019 prospects more. I know our staff hit the 2019. And like I said, the big thing is everything is going to be more accelerated now, and I think you'll see, things moving up, each year.
You only have 1 junior college signee in this class. That's the fewest you've had. You mentioned last year we only had 2.
Yeah.
It's obviously partially that we built towards after a number of years of stability, but having just 1 goes, was that by design?
Yeah, I think you just kind of said it. We've had solid recruiting classes one after another, and so if we have a junior college player that is a need for that position for that year, we're definitely going to recruit them if they fit. But I think it probably says more about just how, stable we are from a recruiting standpoint with our depth.
You said in December you also wanted to get a big-time tight end.
Yeah.
Just what you're feeling and not being able to get one.
Yeah, well, Harold Joyner is going to play running back for us, but he does some things that Charles Clay did, which out of the backfield, stretching the ball on wheel routes and vertical routes, and so that'll fill somewhat of a void there with that.
Will that be a priority again going forward?
Yeah, it'll be a priority in this next class. I'd say right now, early on, I would say tight end, and I would say offensive line. For this next class will definitely be one of the priorities.
Is restricted unit going to be on probationary status or anything like that?
Yeah. We've addressed that with him, and we don't expect anything like that to happen again.
How are your guys that are already going through their workouts doing?
They're off to a good start. Coach Russell gives me a report, once a week, and said the guys are, first of all, they're really good kids. They're working hard. He said they're very athletic, and so he's pleased.
Do you expect Jared to be able to take part in spring from the get-go?
At this point, it looks like he probably will not start participating until after spring break. So if that is the case, the two younger guys will have a chance to, get those 4 or 5 practices, under their belt before he gets back. And I would need to say this too, that there is going to be adjustment in our spring starting date. Originally it was going to be the 27th. We're going to move that to that Thursday to the 1st will be our first practice. I just feel like we need a couple more days of preparation before we get started.
So will that then move like the last day, like 2 days after A-Day then?
Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll practice the 2 days after A-Day.
A couple weeks ago down at the Senior Bowl, you said you hope to have your support staff finalized around this time.
Yeah, I'm hoping by tomorrow. Okay. I think I told you about signing day. I was off a day.
What about Marcus Winston's role? How do you figure out which part of the secondary
Yeah. He's going to be helping with the secondary, and him and Greg will kind of team teach with that.
What's your initial impression of Marcus Woodson so far? I mean, I know he's gotten out doing recruiting stuff.
Well, first of all, he's a great coach, great person. He's going to be a great recruiter too, and he's off to a great start.
Gus, there's apparently going to be some kinds of changes in the transfer rules. What's your feelings about that? If I got to with transfer without having to sit out.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I mean, that would open up a lot of different things and a lot of different dynamics. So we'll see where that goes.
Anything else? All right, Coach. Brandon, you got
The way you finished, do you feel like you finished strong on the trail in the last week or so, or how did you guys approach this game?
Yeah, I think, like I said, our priority was to keep our commitments, and we did that. We knew we had a big-time class even before that. So we feel good about where we're at, and we'll see. Possibility of a grad transfer or two. We'll see where it goes.